In the dim glow of a Pentagon briefing room, under the harsh fluorescent lights that made every face look pale and tired, Captain Elena Vasquez stood silently in the corner, a silver tray balanced perfectly in her hands. The tray held 8 steaming cups of coffee, black, no sugar, just the way the brass liked it. Her crisp uniform was hidden beneath a plain white apron, the kind you'd see on a diner waitress, not on a decorated officer who'd once led Delta Force teams through the dust-choked streets of Mosul. The generals and colonels filed in, barely glancing at her as they took their seats, their voices already rising with the weight of national security. Elena's jaw tightened as she poured, her movements precise, mechanical. No one noticed the faint glint of the Delta Force ring on her right hand, the one she never took off, not even in her sleep. No one, that is, until General Harlan Hawk Whitaker, the grizzled 4-star commander of J.S. Oak, paused mid-stride, his eyes locking onto that ring like a sniper's scope finding its target. Hey, if you're as hooked on stories of grit, courage, and redemption as I am, hit that subscribe button right now and ring the bell. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Elena Vasquez wasn't supposed to be here, serving coffee like some intern. She was a legend in the shadows, a Delta Force operator who'd pulled off missions that would make Hollywood blush. But 6 months ago, everything changed. A botched op in Syria, a scapegoat needed, and suddenly the woman who'd saved countless lives was reduced to this pouring coffee for men who'd never seen a firefight up close. The room buzzed with strategy, maps of the Middle East glowing on screens. But Elena's mind was elsewhere, replaying the moment her career was gutted. She'd been set up, she knew it. The evidence was too clean, the blame too neatly pinned on her. Her superiors, Colonel Gregson and Major Hale, had made sure of it. They'd always resented her too young, too female, too good at a job they thought belonged to men like them. As she moved around the table, refilling cups, Colonel Gregson didn't even look up. "Vasquez, make yourself useful and grab more sugar," he barked, his voice dripping with disdain. The room chuckled. A low, patronizing rumble. Elena's grip on the tray tightened, her knuckles whitening, but she nodded and slipped out. In the hallway, she leaned against the wall, her breath steady but her heart pounding. She wasn't just angry, she was a volcano waiting to erupt. That ring on her finger wasn't just jewelry. It was a promise, a reminder of who she was. The woman who'd carried a wounded teammate 3 miles through enemy territory, who'd taken out a high-value target with a single shot at 800 yards. And now she was fetching sugar. Back in the briefing room, General Whitaker hadn't taken his eyes off the door since Elena left. He'd seen that ring before, years ago, on a battlefield in Afghanistan. He'd been a colonel then, and she'd been a lieutenant, fresh-faced but already a force of nature. He remembered her dragging him out of a burning Humvee, bullets pinging off the armor as she screamed at him to move. He owed her his life. And now, here she was, playing maid to a room full of desk jockeys. Something wasn't right. Whitaker's eyes narrowed as Colonel Gregson droned on about troop movements, his voice smug and self-important. The general's mind was racing. Why was a Delta operator in an apron? Why was she here, of all places? Elena returned with the sugar, her face a mask of professionalism, but her eyes burned with a fire no one in that room could see except Whitaker. As she placed the bowl on the table, he leaned forward, his voice cutting through the room like a blade. "Captain Vasquez," he said, his tone calm but commanding. The room froze. Gregson's mouth snapped shut mid-sentence. "That ring, where'd you get it?" Elena's heart skipped a beat, but she didn't flinch. She met his gaze, her voice steady. "Earned it, sir." "Delta Force, Class 19-2. A murmur rippled through the room. Gregson's face paled and Major Hale choked on his coffee. Whitaker's lips twitched into a faint smile, but his eyes were hard. "Delta Force," he repeated, loud enough for everyone to hear. "And you're serving us coffee, why, exactly?" The question hung in the air like a grenade with the pin pulled. Elena didn't answer right away. She didn't need to. The room was already unraveling. Gregson tried to interject, his voice too loud, too defensive. "Sir, Captain Vasquez is here on reassignment pending review of—" Whitaker raised a hand, silencing him. "Pending review of what, Colonel? I want to hear it from her." All eyes turned to Elena. For the first time in months, she felt seen. Not as a scapegoat, not as a problem to be buried, but as the warrior she was. She straightened, the apron suddenly feeling like a costume she could rip off. 6 months ago, sir, I led a team into Syria. Target was a HVT, codename Scorpion. Mission was green-lit by Colonel Gregson and Major Hale. We got the target, but the intel was bad. Ambush. 3 men Kia. I took the fall. The room was silent now, the kind of silence that screams. Whitaker leaned back, his mind piecing it together. He'd heard whispers of the Syria op, but the official report pinned it all on Elena Gross' negligence, failure to verify intel. But Whitaker knew bad intel when he saw it, and he knew Elena. She didn't make mistakes like that. "Who signed off on the intel?" he asked, his voice low, dangerous. Elena's eyes flicked to Gregson, then Hale. "They did, sir." Gregson shot to his feet, his face red. "This is outrageous. She's lying to save her own skin." But Hale was sweating now, his hands fidgeting with his pen. Whitaker's gaze didn't waver. "Captain Vasquez, step outside." "Colonel, Major, you stay." Elena walked out, her head high, the weight of the tray gone, but the weight of the moment pressing down on her. In the hallway, she leaned against the wall again, but this time she smiled, not because it was over, but because it was just beginning. Inside, Whitaker was tearing into Gregson and Hale, his voice booming through the closed door. "You two buried one of the best operators I've ever seen to cover your own asses. You think I wouldn't find out?" The details spilled out fast, falsified reports, doctored comms logs, a convenient paper trail that made Elena look incompetent. Whitaker didn't just listen, he dismantled them, piece by piece, until Gregson was stammering and Hale was staring at the floor. But this wasn't just about justice. It was about Elena's fight to reclaim her name, her life, her purpose. Flashback to a year earlier. Elena in the field, her team moving like ghosts through a Syrian village. She was in her element, calling shots, reading the terrain, her voice steady over the radio. Her team trusted her with their lives, and she delivered. The HVT, Scorpion, was a ghost himself, a terrorist mastermind who'd evaded capture for years. Elena's plan was surgical get in, neutralize, get out. But the intel fed to her by Gregson's office was a lie. The safe house wasn't safe. It was a trap. Her team walked into a kill zone. She fought like hell, dragging her wounded men out, but 3 didn't make it. When she got back, Gregson was waiting, his smile cold. "You screwed up, Vasquez. Time to pay the price." Back in the present, Whitaker stormed out of the briefing room, his face a mask of controlled fury. He found Elena in the hallway, still in that dem apron. "Take that off," he said, his voice softer now. She did, slowly, revealing the uniform beneath, the captain's bars gleaming. "You're not done, Vasquez, not by a long shot." He handed her a folder, thick with documents. "This is everything Gregson and Hale tried to bury. I want you to lead the investigation. Your team, your rules." Elena's eyes widened. This wasn't just redemption. It was a second chance to do what she did best. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. Elena assembled a hand-picked team of analysts and operators, men and women who'd heard the rumors and wanted the truth. They worked in a secure bunker, poring over satellite imagery, comms logs, and financial records. The deeper they dug, the uglier it got. Gregson and Hale weren't just covering their tracks, they were taking bribes. Scorpion wasn't just a target, he was a business partner. The ambush wasn't bad luck, it was a hit, meant to tie up loose ends. Elena's team was supposed to die that night, and she was supposed to take the fall. But they didn't count on her surviving, or on Whitaker's memory. The tension built like a storm. Elena's team faced pushback threats, hacked systems, even a car bomb that narrowly missed her outside her apartment. But she didn't back down. She trained harder, ran faster, shot better, her Delta instincts sharper than ever. She wasn't just fighting for herself anymore. She was fighting for the 3 men who didn't come home, for every operator who'd been betrayed by the system. The climax came in a secure hearing room, packed with brass and overseen by a congressional committee. Elena stood at the podium, her voice steady, her evidence airtight. She laid it all out. The bribes, the falsified intel, the ambush. Gregson and Hale sat across from her, their careers crumbling in real time. When she played the recorded call, Hale's voice, panicked, admitting to taking Scorpion's money, the room erupted. But it wasn't over. Scorpion was still out there, and Elena wasn't done. Whitaker gave her the green light for one last mission. Bring him in dead or alive. She handpicked her team 5 of the best, including a young sniper who reminded her of herself a decade ago. They dropped into Syria under cover of night, moving through the same desert that had taken her men. The tension was unbearable. Every shadow a threat, every sound a potential ambush. Elena led them to Scorpion's compound, her plan flawless. They breached, cleared rooms, and found him in a bunker surrounded by armed guards. The firefight was chaos, muzzle flashes, shouts, the acrid smell of gunpowder. Elena took a graze to the arm but kept moving, her eyes locked on Scorpion. She tackled him, her knee in his chest, her sidearm at his temple. "For my team," she whispered, and cuffed him. Back in the States, the headline screamed, "Delta hero cleared, traitors exposed." Elena was reinstated, promoted to major, and given command of a new task force. Gregson and Hale faced courts-martial, their careers over, their names mud. But for Elena, it wasn't about the rank or the glory. It was about the 3 names she carried with her, the ones etched into a bracelet she wore under her sleeve. At the ceremony honoring her, Whitaker pulled her aside. "You did what most couldn't," he said. "You never stopped being Delta." She nodded, her eyes wet, but her voice steady. "Never will, sir." As the credits roll on this chapter of Elena's life, I want to hear from you. From which part of the country are you watching this video? Drop it in the comments below and let me know what you think of Elena's story. Did she get the justice she deserved, or is there more to fight for? Smash that like button, subscribe, and let's keep these stories coming.